welcome to a podcast about something where each week we dive deep into whatever it is we find interesting. I'm your host, Calvin, and coming to you from the backside of the comics page is our co-host, Nick Richardson.
Hey, what's up, guys?
So today we have got some life advice like you would find in a newspaper on the other side of the comics page. That's why Nick's coming from there, in case you were wondering. But we're going to give some probably shitty advice to whoever wants to listen.
Yeah, and I think all of you who are listening right now need some of this advice in your life. Just because who doesn't need a little shitty advice every once in a while?
And we just may land on some gems here. Something that may actually help you.
I think so.
So let's get right into it. We got a few, we've been asking for a while on Twitter and email, so we got a few from Twitter. The first was, what is the answer to life, the universe, and everything from Retrospection Radio? You got an answer for that?
I do have an answer for that. And,
is it 42?
It's 42, man.
It's 42.
As soon as I read that, I was just like, bam. I remember that from the old school reading days of.
I've never read Hitchhiker's Guide, and I know it's 42.
It's well, I think, I don't know. There's a joke about it somewhere else. I want to say like Family Guy or some crazy shit, but I do remember reading those books when I was younger. I want to say I was around a junior in high school, and I loved them. They were just goofy as hell, and that was a perfect example of it.
Yeah. And I have that on my reading list because it's like one of those sci-fi fantasy books that everybody has to read, and I just haven't gotten to it. So I'll learn the actual meaning of 42 at some point in my life. But I have a real answer to this as well. And my answer is just like, be happy. Find something that makes you happy and just find a way to consume it. Like it doesn't have to be like, I'm not saying find your dream job, that type of thing, because that's not always realistic. Like
That's
for me,
tough.
Yeah. For me, something that brings me joy is just spending time with my kids. So every day I make sure I have time to spend with my kids and enjoy that time. Another thing is podcasting. So once a week we find time to make a podcast. So those are the things that make me happy. I have a job that some days makes me miserable. Some days I'm okay with it, but I have other things to look forward to. So find that thing and just make sure you're indulging in it when you get chances.
Absolutely, man.
Unless it's heroin.
Yeah, unless it's heroin or any of those other hardcore narcotics. Those are never fun.
Nah, just heroin.
I mean, heroin's a hell of a drug. But yeah, dude. I mean, I totally agree. Happiness, and satisfaction is I don't want to say easy to come by, but when it's there, it's definitely worth appreciating. Because you don't find it too often. If you can take satisfaction from the little things, like spending time with your kids and watching them grow, and your job doesn't kill you every day, so you can go, you leave it at the door, you come home, and it's gone. And when you're having good hobbies, I love podcasting myself. I obviously do this show, and then I work on my show, so it consumes a lot of my free time, but it's worth doing.
Right. It's something you actually want to do in your free time. It's not like doing chores and things like that where like you're just like, oh, I've got to do laundry again today, or I've got to do the dishes. Like, no, it's something you want to do, so you make time for it.
Well, and you usually do your best at it. Just and that's
right.
Doing something you love really brings out the best out of you.
Exactly.
So I am gonna go next, and this one, don't know how I feel about it. It's how do I get rich while also doing nothing and making no effort whatsoever, from the Tennis Podcast. And what do you think about this?
I mean, if you've got the answer out there, please let me know as well, because I'm in for it. I guess play the lottery as much as possible. That's as close to actually doing. I mean, that's still doing something. You got to go to the gas station. You got to buy your scratch offs or your actual lottery ticket. You got to fill in the numbers. So that's as little effort as I can think of. But I don't know that you're actually going to get rich.
The only thing
it's a tough shot.
It's a super tough shot, but you see the $5,000 winner, $1,000 winner taped to the register at the gas station all the time, and So I mean, it's got its appeal. You hear about these big winners, usually down on their luck, and coming out and winning $382 million, which will change anybody's life. But I don't know if I even want to get rich while doing nothing whatsoever, just because, I mean, God, and a ton of wealth all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's hard stuff.
it's treacherous. And honestly,
well, a lot of these lottery winners end up back being broke because they don't know how to manage their money once they get it.
well, shit, man. I don't know if I would. I'd be out there
No,
buying everything in sight. I'd go to Rome, some other place. It's really sweet.
I could get away with doing if I struck it rich, won the Mega Millions or whatever tomorrow. I could get away with doing nothing for like maybe 2 weeks before I just be like, okay, I got to do something now.
Yeah, I'm the same way, but I would probably indulge on some of my other passions. Like, I really want to see some cool historical stuff throughout the world, not just America. 'Cause I've seen a lot of the cool American stuff, but you know that's kind of I really want to go to like Syria and see a bunch of that cool stuff there, and just I don't know. I'm a nerd like that, I suppose.
Hey, you do you.
That's right.
I won't be joining you in Syria.
I'm going to give it 10, 20 years. I don't mean to sound horrible when I say this, but I will say another way to get rich without doing anything is when someone in your family dies.
Oh, there we go.
Um,
Have a rich family member.
I think that's even
Make sure they die.
less effort. Just make sure you're good friends with them.
Yeah.
Be
You
kind.
got to put in a little bit of work because you got to get on that will somehow. But like, go visit your grandpa at the nursing home. You'll be okay.
I will be doing that myself, actually. Shit, I'm not even that close with my grandpa, which sucks because man, he is loaded.
There we go.
There goes my chance for getting rich of doing nothing.
Well, he'll never listen to this podcast because, as I know, old people don't know how the internet works. So
he has a
Could be
tough
a-
time. He has one of those big flip phones with the
I don't think you
giant
get
buttons
podcasts
on it.
those.
Yeah, I don't think you can either. It'd take a while to type in.
All right, so the last one from Twitter is we've got this is actually kind of a real question. What should you do if your friend starts a fight and is too proud to apologize? From the French History podcast.
This is a good one.
Yeah, you got any thoughts on that?
Honestly, the best way I've found is just talk to him straight up. It's like, listen, man, you made me look like an asshole, and now you're sitting here being a prick about it. Come on, like if that kind of resorts to a fist fight or whatever, that's not necessarily a good sign of a healthy friendship. You should be able to talk to each other. So I mean, if they're too proud to apologize, give them an avenue to do so, and most of the time they'll take it. And if not, then suck rocks, buddy.
Yeah, I mean you got two options here. One is, you go to them, let them know that they hurt your feelings and hope that they understand that and will apologize. Or now you have one less friend. And that's just the way it is. That happens when you reach adulthood. If people don't reach adulthood in the same way, then you find yourself with less and less friends as you go.
Absolutely. I mean, you got to move on at some point, because if you want to move forward in life, and you just can't do that with people standing in your way. Sad to say it like that.
I mean, but yeah, that's what it is. So for the rest of our questions, that was all from Twitter. Thank you guys for everyone who participated there. Check out those shows. We do appreciate it. Not quite enough to make a whole show off just that, though. So we went and found some more advice questions. I went to the subreddit of our advice and just kept, for like the last couple months, I've been marking stuff that I would like to answer. And where did you say you went to that same subreddit, or did you go somewhere else?
I bounce between that subreddit and life advice.
Okay.
So I guess that's maybe cheating a little bit, but I was digging deep, man. I was down to, because a lot of them were kind of funny and interesting to read. But I was in like page 15, 16 after a while.
Well, I started going like sorting by new and sorting by top, sorting by controversial. When you sort by controversial, you pretty much just get like, why do people hate the president? And it's like, all right, I don't want to answer that question.
That white bread shit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I always thought it was weird, like, because I've been trolling the R Advice subreddit for several months now. Like, some people ask questions on there or other advice forums or Yahoo Answers, things like that, when they're like just simple things you could Google. Like, yeah, just like where can I go to get a burger? Like, I don't know, type it into Google. This is not the right place for that.
Google restaurants, son.
Yeah.
Let's go.
They're like 30% of all the posts I saw, I just wanted to like type in the comments, google.com/ whatever they were asking.
Yeah, I find
I'm not that
myself
much
wanting
of a
to do that
jerk
a
on
lot.
Reddit, though.
Oh man, I've been borderline there a couple times, just because people ask really dumb stuff sometimes.
I try not to be a jerk on Reddit, but like when somebody is a jerk to me first, then I'll go at them. I'll go back. I won't ever start it though.
I'm a bit of a keyboard commando when someone picks a fight. And it's like, oh yeah, bitch, what's up?
I'll usually go like 2, maybe 3 levels deep, and then I'm just like, all right, this isn't worth my time anymore, and let it die.
Yeah, I don't know if I could say that. A lot of times I got to get the last word in.
I'm gonna have to look through your history now.
Usually I let it transpire through messages, just because.
There you go.
Yeah, I want to keep my street cred on Reddit. You know what I mean?
All right, so yeah, because if you get into some serious fights on Reddit, like the other person will start going through your history and just be like, that's what I'm always afraid of. Like, because I post about new episodes, like when we do a Harry Potter episode, I'll post on the Harry Potter Reddit. Seinfeld, I'll put it on the Seinfeld subreddit, things like that. So I'm always worried, like I get in a fight with somebody, they're going to go and look at my old post and be like, hey, your podcast is shit. Nobody likes you. And just like start making fun of that. And I don't like to give people reasons to make fun of me.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
I know for the most part, they're mostly just trolling, but like still hits me.
You know what?
Anyway.
Fuck them.
Yeah. Pretty much. Anyway, let's get into some of the questions. The first one I found was, it just said, moving today, any unforeseen things I should be aware of. And I've moved a lot of times in my life. So I've got some thoughts here, but I want to let you say your thoughts first.
I will open with moving sucks.
Yes.
So be aware of that first and foremost. It will
that should
blow
be foreseen, though, I think.
I don't know, man. When I was 18, moving out on my own, I was naive as shit until I was carrying a couch on my back up 3 flights of stairs, living in a crummy apartment that the AC didn't work during the summer, so I'm dying. It's not like, you just don't really think of that when you're younger.
Yeah, that's true. That was one of my first points is like, if you have the means, hire a moving company. The day before, you probably don't have time at that point to hire a moving company, but like if you can, hire a moving company, let somebody else do it for you.
Absolutely. No Craigslist, and they better have insurance. Because that helps so much. You guys will love your lives if you just do that.
Yeah, it's a bit costly, but it ends up being worth it because you're not doing it yourself. Taking 15 trips back and forth in your Honda Civic, that whole thing.
Yeah, that sucks. And if you can't afford that, U-Hauls are cheap, but for God's sakes, do not ask your friends to help you move and offer to pay them with beer and pizza. Because no one wants to do that for beer and pizza. It's not fair. They may help you if they're really good friends, but
well, yeah, they're gonna help you because like they feel like they have to. I had something along those lines too. If you're going to ask your friend with a truck, because everybody's got a friend with a truck, right? So if you're gonna ask your friend with a truck, you got to give them at least a week ahead of time so they can tell you no. Like you can't ask them the day before. You gotta give them at least a week, and then if they agree to do it, you got to confirm with the friend of the truck the day before. Otherwise, they're gonna flake on you if you don't say, "Hey, remember you're helping me move tomorrow." They're not gonna be there if you don't remind them.
No. Any excuse to get out of it, they'll take it.
Don't take advantage of your friend with the truck.
I've been that guy, guys. It's hurtful.
Yeah. Dude gets too many offers to help people move, and no amount of pizza is worth that.
Hell, if I get pizzas even, most of the time I'll help them move.
Well, it's
and
the
be like, oh, yeah,
it's the
bro.
promise of pizza, and then it's, well, we'll order pizza next week. We got it. We got this other thing to do now.
Not even. They'll be like, you want to go halvesies on a pizza with me, bro? It's like, no, man, you suck. But this is my my best and brightest advice I can say about moving today is pack that toilet paper. Pack it. Make sure you got some when you move.
Right on top of everything so you can get it to it first.
Absolutely. If you're moving, you're eating bad fast food, you may need it quick. You might as well just strap it to your chest so you got it at all times. Maybe you got a runny nose. Who knows?
You definitely, your first trip, if you're, you're going close by, so let's say you're just moving to the other side of town or you got an apartment in a different complex, whatever, your first trip over, you have toilet paper, and then you leave toilet paper in the old apartment as well.
Yes.
Like you want toilet paper in both spots because you never know when that's going to hit on moving day because you get dehydrated, you're going up and down stairs, you're sweating, things can come at you.
Absolutely. And you may be eating pizza and drinking beer, so that's even worse. That is a fantastic advice, actually, man. Every place I've ever moved into has always had a little bit of toilet paper left. Like, they got you covered, but I still brought mine just in case.
Make sure it's on top. That's good thought. All right, what do you got next?
This one I had a lot of fun with. It's I want to tell my roommate off before I leave. Should I do it? And I've had some terrible roommates in my life.
Bad roommates. Every roommate, like, you think it's going to be good, and then, like, 3 months in, you're like, why the fuck is this person so weird all of a sudden?
Exactly. It you guys have a lot of fun, and then it's just like, and I hate you. Like, you're kind of dirty, blah, blah, blah. But what do you think? Should they do it? Should they not? It's a fine line.
Being honest, I would say no. Just fucking leave. Get over it. Like, it's not, whatever they did is probably not that big of a deal. Once, like, you're removed from the situation, it's probably a big deal. Like, if they leave their dirty dishes in the dishwasher or in the sink every single day and you're constantly trying to pick them up. But, like, trust me, once you're out of that room and not with that person anymore, you're not going to care. Yeah. It's just going to be a funny story you tell your friends, which I have one. I had a roommate. It was my senior year of college. We actually lived together in a house the year before. There were 4 of us in the house the year before, and the 4 of us all got along pretty good. We were good at kind of keeping to ourselves, or, and then just kind of like interacting when we needed to. But for the most part, we were 4 individuals living in the same house.
Right.
Everything was fine. By the end of that year, me and one guy got to be pretty good friends, and we were like, all right, our next apartment that we move into next year, because we don't want to live in this house with everyone again, let's get an apartment together on the other side of town. So we do, and everything's going good. We get moved in, we buy a plasma TV, set it up. Everything's good there. I think we went halvesies on it. He brought some dishes, I brought some other things, so like everything was good. He got like way into his girlfriend and stopped going to class and just like bombed out by the end of the first semester. This was his junior year, it was my senior year, and so he's just gone. Doesn't even tell me that I barely talked to him at that point because he was so into his girlfriend. Like, there was no interacting with him anymore. And when we first moved in, we were playing video games every day. We were watching the same shows, doing everything together pretty much. And then he's just pretty much gone. And then he goes home for Christmas break, and I just don't see him. And then there was I want to say spring break. When I was gone, I come back, and there are just no dishes in my house anymore, in my apartment anymore.
What? Oh.
So he had come back while I was gone, because he still got a key and everything. Like, he didn't break the lease. He was paying his end still. Like, he just dropped out of school, but was still paying his lease and everything like that, which, fine by me. But, I would have other people, if they needed a place to stay, I would let them sleep on his bed. They'd crash on our couch, whatever. I didn't have to, because he was never there.
Yeah.
And, one of his friends had told me, he just wasn't coming back. So I was like, all right, cool. So I go to visit my brother on spring break, come back, no dishes. And I'm like, all right, that's fucked up.
Yeah, bitch.
Go to Walmart, get some. I didn't say anything to him. I'm just like, okay, guess I need some dishes. Go to Walmart, get dishes, whatever. Got the cheapest ones I could find. No big deal. And then so the next summer, he starts texting me out of nowhere, just, hey, how you doing? How's it going? And, I'm texting back and forth. And then all of a sudden he's like, so you think I could get some money back for that TV? Because I took the TV because he wasn't around anymore.
Yeah.
He's like, can I get my half back for that TV? I'm like, what? No.
Yeah,
no, you can't have your money back.
Kiss my ass.
It broke 4 years later. I wanted to send it to him.
That'd be $70 to send a big old flat screen TV.
Yeah, a broken flat screen to send it to him and be like, oh, you can have your half back now.
That would be brilliant, Petty. Hey, man, I need your address. I got something to send you. And
this was 5 years after we had both moved out, so it would have been really funny.
And then just tape a picture of you giving him the bird on the front of the TV.
Here's your half of the TV. I feel like he got his half of usage out of the TV while he lived there, and he took all of our dishes. So in my mind, he had paid his due.
He left, and once you leave, man, and you don't speak or nothing like that, you don't really have much claim to shit. And to come back and take your dishes, that's pretty bogus.
Yeah.
That reminds me
I think he didn't have a job at the time. I was in between jobs, because I was right out of college, and he's asking me for $200 or something. I'm like, I don't have $200.
Fuck yeah, man.
I barely have a job.
I can barely eat, son, so leave me alone. I don't got nothing for you.
He got mad at me because I stopped talking to him after he asked me for money.
Yeah. People are funny, dude. They have no sense sometimes.
No.
I mean, I grew up with this kid. There was my roommate. We were roommates for 2 years actually. But my dad owned some rental properties, so I, paid rent at this rental property, and I was like, hey man, he didn't have, he was crashing on people's couches. I was like, hey, if you can hit me with rent, you can come live with me. That's a good house, decent neighborhood, and stuff like that. So started off good. But this guy was a hockey player. That'll come into play later. And
Uh-oh.
he had a good job. So at the time, he was paying all his rent, he was paying for food, we were splitting the bills pretty evenly. And then he got pissed off, flew off the handle, quit his job, and got some crummy Amazon warehouse job.
Where you have to pee in, like, boxes on the side.
Exactly. And if you work that job, I didn't mean to imply it's not a job worth having when I say it's crummy. That's all I heard about it from him. So,
Right.
With conjecture, that's what I mean. Not that
to him, it was crummy.
Yeah, and that's all he complained about.
We're not here to tell you you're a piece of shit for whatever level. If you got a job, you're good.
Yeah, do your thing, guys. But he would just cry, and he had the same problem. He was really into his girl, and then he started.
It always happens.
Oh my god! And she's kind of a ditzy blonde, and we called her Brenda, even though her name was Brenna. So after like 2 years of calling her Brenda, she's just like,
She
you guys
really,
finally, dude, you guys really don't know my name? Like, what the fuck? But anyway, yeah, as a hockey player, he always wanted to talk shit. So, I mean, he would start swinging on you for like no reason whatsoever. So, I mean, me and this guy fist fought like 30 times. And by the end of it, I was just sick of it. And he's taller than me, and I have about 25 pounds on him, and he can't fight worth shit. So I mean, it was easy for me every time. So the last time I fought him, I gave it to him a little too hard, and I kind of knocked him out. And don't do that, guys. I'm grown out of that phase, but he pissed me off. So I go to work, and he comes back, and he has a note taped to my door like a 4-year-old. He might as well have written it in fucking crayon or magazine cutout. Just misspelled like crazy, telling me how much of a shitty person I was and all this garbage. So I'm like, okay, I deserve that. I did, punch you in the face in front of several people after you hit me first. So next thing I know, I haven't seen him for like 2 weeks. Hasn't paid any rent, so I'm behind because I'm not really expecting it. And I hear he's gone to Colorado, and it's like, oh. And he left all his crap behind, like all of his junk. His bed that smelled like pee, and his couch that was garbage. So, I basically went and I put it in the garage for like 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
And don't hear from him, nothing. So I pay to have it hauled away. And I just bought a new car, and this scumbag comes back, and I guess he saw all the stuff like in the back of a dump truck, because I left it parked in my driveway overnight and had my new car in front of it. So they destroyed my new car. Did like $5,000 in damage. And oh my god,
don't fuck with people's cars.
So
that's a line you don't cross.
What does Vince from Pulp Fiction say? It's just when him and Samuel L. Jackson are talking about how his car got keyed. That's basically.
I've seen Pulp Fiction once. I don't really like it that much.
But yeah,
it's fine.
So that was my my shitty roommate story, and I've
got one more thing to add to mine. Sorry, finish yours. I got one more thing to add to mine because my friend just reminded me.
Oh, all I was gonna say is I'd probably give the guy a hug, just because he was still a good friend.
Nice. Yeah,
but I mean, I got a kid on the way, and I got a wife who I love dearly. I don't really want to go to jail. And like I said, I'm not that guy anymore. So, what's up, buddy? If you hear this, I forgive you.
Yeah, so I was texting with my buddy Chris, who was, both of our friends at the time, and I said, hey, listen to the next episode because we got a story about my roommate. I'm not going to give his name here. He doesn't deserve that publication. So he reminded me I had to break into his. When he moved out, he locked his door, but he wasn't ever coming back. So, I was having a friend come in, my friend that graduated the year before, they were coming in to hang out, and they were just going to stay at our apartment. The free bed, who cares?
Yeah, right.
So I try and get in there and it's locked. So I got to go outside on the balcony, get Jimmy out his window open and get in and go in and unlock the door. Like, that's the only way we could get in their room, was to get up and basically break into our own apartment.
007, that shit. What a bastard.
Yeah.
That's so bogus,
no
dude.
intention of coming back. Doesn't have any of his stuff in there. Let me lock the door just to make sure.
Just got to keep this empty room safe. And fuck Calvin.
Yeah, so this is me telling him off now. I did not do it then, but fuck you, guy. You know who you are if you're listening.
Yeah, I'm with you, bud.
So next one we got, and this is going to be one of my favorites. How do you respond to how have you been when your life has been boring and monotonous? Or kind of just how have you been? How's it going? You know, any of those BS small talk, passing somebody in the hallway at work questions that you don't really have an answer for. Most of the time you just say good and move on. Mm-hmm. How do you answer that without being like just saying good and moving on?
I hit him with the old, that smile thing that like white people have, that they just kind of, they don't show teeth. They don't really raise. It's not a smile. It's like a spreading your lips.
Right.
And
it's barely, yeah.
I usually hit him with one of those and maybe a nod. But I don't even really respond to that. Like, if they're like, "Hey Nick, how's it going? How are you?" I'll be like, "Oh yeah, doing good. See ya. Like, I'm busy. I'm working right now." Or just if it's someone I haven't seen, hey, I'll talk to him for a few minutes. But I don't really like making small talk with people.
No,
for the most part,
it might be the worst thing in the world.
It's so uncomfortable. So when they're just like, "Hey, what's up?" That open-ended question, or "Hey, how you been?" It's like, well, do you want me to start going down the list?
Do you really care about what's going on in my life, or do you just want me to say good and move on?
Yeah, I think everybody just wants you as the opposite party to say good and move on.
Yep.
So that's why I hit him with the nod, man. I save them the hassle of even a good. They don't even have any time to worry about it. It's just like, boom, hit them with it right off the bat. You're good. Peace.
Yeah, so in my office, it's like I have an office right in the front of the building.
Oh, damn. So everybody that walks by.
Well, everybody that walks in, I'm usually there after everybody if I'm even there, because I work from home most of the time. But like if I'm there, I'm usually there after everybody's gotten there. The worst part is when like the receptionist isn't there and like a delivery person or somebody else comes in and doesn't know where to go. They come and talk to me and I'm like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
But so like to get to the bathroom, I have to walk by like 4 or 5 people in these little cubicles, and each one of them has to say good morning. And every time I have to go to the bathroom, they have to say something to me. It's like, it's cool to just let me walk by.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have to talk every time.
Do you need to see what I'm wearing? Like, I didn't change my hair in the past 12 minutes.
Yeah. It's 12 minutes between bathroom breaks.
Nah,
you need to get that checked out now.
In reality.
But like I drink a lot. I drink a lot of water, so I go to the bathroom like 5 times a day, 6 times a day. Like
I drink a lot of water myself, and I feel like every time they see you going past,
they gotta say something to me. And like it just makes me not ever want to go to the bathroom, or like I'll make excuses to just leave the office and go somewhere else, and then I'll go to the bathroom while I'm there.
That's next level right there.
I'm pretty like free and open. We have like plants and stuff around the area, so I'll go out to plants and check on them, or like I'll go, if I'm going to lunch, I just wait till I get to lunch instead of going before I leave, that kind of thing.
Man, Calvin's living in 3019 over here.
Oh, you want to say hi to me 15 times a day? Nope, I'm just gonna fucking leave.
Gone. I wish I had that luxury.
So the real answer, I guess, is just say good and move on. Like, if you don't want to talk to them, if you just say good and keep walking, they'll move on. If you're at a party or something where it's a little more forced, like, I don't know, you're there, you're there with family or with friends, and they ask you how you're doing, and let's say it's Thanksgiving. You can't just, like, say good and walk away from your weird uncle. Like, just say good and then talk about something else that you have in common with, I guess.
Watch me, bro. I'll say good.
Pigs
in a blanket.
I definitely do that. Oh, like I was going to get the food. Sorry, but I'm good. How are you doing? Okay.
I'm really hungry, man. But I'll talk to you later.
My wife's family has these huge family gatherings. Like on my side of the family, it's like me and my brother's family and our parents, and that's it.
Yeah, same, dude.
But for my wife, it's like every person that's ever kind of been related to them, or maybe it was married and now is not married anymore. Those people come too, like, and it's just exhausting being around that many people.
Mm-hmm.
And every one of them wants to talk to me or give me a hug, and I'm just like, I'm cool. Like, I'll just sit over here and let me play with my kids, and you guys talk to each other. You don't need to know what's going on in my life because I guarantee you, it's nothing that you care about.
Yeah, right.
And I don't care about what's going on in your life. So let's just agree to let me eat my food and play with my kids. That's all I want to do.
As my grandfather used to say, keep it simple, stupid.
There we go.
Don't talk to. I gotta say this. If Mike, if you ever listen to this, shut up. I hate listening to you talk at family events. My sister.
God damn it, Mike.
Oh, my stepsister, man. She, her husband has a huge family, so they're always at my dad's house or something for like Christmas. And Mike is a Vikings fan who drinks nothing but Natty Light and just talk. How's it going, man? What's going on, man? You know, them birds, and he just smells like cigarettes. So you know what, Mike? Fuck you. You make it suck. And that's all I gotta say.
All right, what do we got next?
We got this one I thought was funny, and I assume it comes from Australia. And you will know why here in just a moment, folks. It is, I saw a spider on the toilet, and I tried to hit it, but I missed, and the fucker just vanished. How can I take a shit in peace without burning the house down?
I mean, you got to burn the house down. That's
short and
only
sweet.
recourse.
I think Elon Musk sold flamethrowers. Get on it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a big worry. You got in New York City, you got the alligators coming up through the toilets too, things like that, because they live in the sewers there. I've seen this is more real than the alligators in New York City, but like snakes that like somehow get into your pipes and curl up in your toilet like that. That scare the shit out of me.
No, man. Oh, it just literally I feel like I'm 6 right now. I'm like,
yeah,
oh god, it'll make me die.
I guess, do you have a guest bathroom? Maybe just exclusively use the guest bathroom, or if it was the guest bathroom, exclusively use the master. Like,
just board it up.
Yeah, like it's shut down. Wait until somebody else goes in there and gets the spider eggs laid inside them. I don't know. It's a tough one.
I mean, I hear having them burst forth from your chest is a real experience. But
that's a xenomorph that happens with.
I call it, those face huggers might as well be spiders, bro. Everybody says it. Those alien spiders. I think so. I mean, it's fact now. But if first off, I'm not gonna miss that spider. I'm like a sniper. I'm like, bah. I do not like spiders. Yeah, come on.
How about that?
But I honestly, I'd probably just board the room up, A, pour a bunch of bleach in my toilet and flush it repeatedly, B.
How big is the spider? Like, if it's like one of those little guys, just go to the bathroom. You're fine.
I'm assuming Australia.
Yeah,
so
if it's a big fucker, you gotta
those 6 inchers, bud.
Mm-hmm.
Those things that pierce humans like were kebabs. And other than that, I might get some antifreeze and see if he likes some of that action. And if he doesn't,
so you're going chemical warfare on your side.
I'm going
don't burn
chemical
the house
warfare.
down.
I'm going straight to the the low blows.
Hire a maid for a week. Have them go in there, clean it up. You'll be fine.
She's like, "Sir, oh my God, you won't believe the spider I found." And you're just like, sip coffee.
Yeah, I mean, if it comes down to you're burning your house, or you get a maid for a week to make sure it's gone, the maid's probably cheaper.
Yeah, yep. I'll go with that.
Yeah. I like the chemical warfare idea too. That's better than burning.
Plus, I feel like I'm Dexter from Dexter's Lab. Just eat
Love
that
Dexter's
spider.
Lab.
Love that show.
Cartoon Network used to be so good.
So good.
All right, so next we got, I sent a nude, and now the girl is trying to extort me. What do you got for that? You big dick pic sender over there?
No, man. I am not, dude. That's because
I have never once taken a picture of my junk.
No, man. Well, I mean, dude, this shit happens all the time. Like, guys, do you really think you read about it in the news all the time? Do you really about a guy leaking, some girl's photos, selling it to people? Do you really think they're not going to do that to a dude? Especially if you're some asswipe, shit talker who wants to walk around like you got a big one, and
or
then
you got a little tiny
one.
Send it unsolicited, and definitely don't send one.
That's
without being asked.
That's a low blow to send a female. I mean, I don't want dick sent to me. So I mean, girls obviously, straight women usually like wiener.
Do they? But do they want to look at one on its own?
They better have
don't
Good
send
lighting.
dick pics
I mean,
ever.
just
like,
yeah.
no one wants to see them. It's okay. Like, if somebody asks for one, you can just be like, no, I'm not comfortable doing that.
I'll show you in person.
You're not. Yeah, exactly. You're not gonna get one in return if you want one in return. But like, that's something you got to live with.
You gotta just don't be dumb. If you want to send that out, and you probably knew this chick wanted to extort you in the first place.
Yeah.
Or would do some crazy shit like that. So if she's taking this route, here's some legitimate advice for you. Be a snitch, homie.
Yeah, that's one.
Yeah.
I mean, just in general, sending nudes or having them saved in some cloud type server is generally just a bad idea. Like, don't take the picture. It's going to get out. Like, we've seen it.
Yeah,
numerous times. It's going to get out. Don't get it saved to your iCloud, not to Google Drive, anything like that. Somebody's going to find it. If you really, really, really need to send one, there's apps out there that like don't allow screenshots, don't save to any servers, anything like that. Find one of those apps, move over to that.
Yeah.
You know?
That, or you can go old school and,
Polaroid it.
I was just about to say, Polaroid, send it in the mail.
Send it in the mail. All right, you'll get it in 3 to 5 days.
It self-destructs after 3 seconds, so be careful.
The only reason I could really, really think, and I had to stretch on this, of why you would absolutely need to send nudes to one another is if you're in a long-distance relationship and you got a good foundation relationship already, you're trying to spice up your long-distance relationship, you might want to include that. But again, find one of these apps that doesn't save them.
Yeah, just F it, guys. Don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it.
Don't do it. All right.
Don't send dick pics. It's a bad plan.
This kind of ties into this question, I suppose, and kind of blurring the lines on the side of don't do it. Is it wrong for a 21-year-old male to date a 16-year-old female?
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
That's it.
That's about it, guys.
That's the whole answer. Yeah, don't do it.
Don't do it. It's a child. Don't.
If you really want to wait 3 years around for him, you can do that, but like, don't. It's not a good idea.
Calvin, what do you say about for those people that are like, well, bro, in Montana, it's legal age is 16. I think
and
you're
move to Montana, I guess. Like,
if that's what you're really after.
If you want to date a specific 16-year-old, then you'd both have to move to Montana, and she's probably still in high school, and her family probably wouldn't agree with that. So I don't know that if you just want to like be dating a 16-year-old, then okay, go move to Montana and do it up. But like generally, don't do why? Find somebody your age. The only reason you want to date this 16-year-old is because she thinks you're cool because you can buy her beer. She doesn't like you that much.
No, and neither does the person selling you beer because they know what you're doing it for.
Yeah,
bastard.
I had a guy in high school. He was 4 years older than me, and we both were trying to hit on the same girl who was 1 year younger than me. And that was weird. Yeah. Like, he was a friend of mine. And, like, we'd talk about her, and it was weird when he was like, oh, no. Yeah, and they ended up dating for a while, too. And it was just kind of weird. He was a senior. She was in 8th grade. Like, I was in 9th grade, and she was in 8th grade, and it wasn't that bad.
What?
But he's a senior, and she's in 8th grade. And he's like, yeah. Like, agreeing with me on all this shit I'm saying. Like, I'm allowed to say it. She's a year younger than me. You're not. Like,
exactly, dude.
It was weird.
Senior to 8th grade, man. That's a broad jump. Yeah. You sick bastard.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, just go pick her up with her little 8th grade uniform, man. You suck. You suck. Oh, man, I gotta be past that one. Ugh. Just don't do it, guys. Come on. When when anybody's 16, they don't know what the hell they want.
You know who else you can buy beer for that'll be impressed? A 19-year-old. Go find a 19-year-old and buy them beer.
Yeah, and they probably have a pretty decent fake anyway, so they can go to the bar with you.
Exactly. All right, we're going to take a quick break for a promo from another podcast. Stay tuned and listen to them. When we come back, Nick and I both prepared a question to ask each other and give it advice on a question that we have thought of. So that's what we'll be doing when we get back.
Hi, I'm Tiffany Dillon.
Hi, I'm Kevin Dillon.
And we're the hosts of Fake Headlines Podcast.
Each week, Tiffany and I bring 3 headlines to the mic, making the other guess which ones are fakes and which ones are reals.
Here are a few headlines from past episodes.
Store caught sticking googly eyes on fish to make them look fresh.
Woman marries 300-year-old ghost because she couldn't find a human husband.
Religious leader named Penis Baba pulls car 100 feet using only his manhood while stunned crowds watch.
Woman finds pickled toad during house renovation.
Disney Star Wars park to sell Ewoks. Furry pedometers.
Which articles are real and which ones are fake? Catch up now on Fake Headlines Podcast.
We're available on Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Laughable, or wherever you get your podcasts from.
You can also go straight to fakeheadlinespodcast.com.
Follow us on Twitter at FakeHeadPod or Facebook and Instagram at Fake Headlines Podcast.
Bye.
All right, be sure to check that podcast out. Really great stuff they're doing over there. And we're back to giving life advice. So like I said before we left, we wanted to each ask a question and get the other's advice and give our own advice based on that question as well. So I'll go first. My question was, if you're introducing somebody to Star Wars, what order do you tell them to watch it in?
That's a pretty easy one, dude. The original 3, absolutely. And then I'm going to go with this newer set. I really liked Rogue One, really liked The Force Awakens, and The Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll go the ones from the early 2000s, just because I didn't really like any of those 3.
Okay. All right. So I have various thoughts on this, and I mainly wanted to ask you so I could give my answer. A little bit selfish, but I'm okay with that. So according to How I Met Your Mother, you have to watch the original trilogy at least every 3 years.
I
It's a
agree.
rule.
Yeah.
Every 3 years, you got to be trilling it. So I've worked it. That's what they say on How I Met Your Mother. Not my words. I've worked it out. So I'm watching the original trilogy 1 year, then the prequel trilogy the next, and then the sequel trilogy the third year, and then you just start over with the original again.
Yeah.
So you just have this rotating, trilogies going on. I'm on the prequel trilogy this year. I've already watched Phantom Menace, if nobody noticed my tweets a few nights ago. But so the way I see it is, if you're telling an adult, you go original trilogy first.
Absolutely.
Now, A New Hope can be a little boring if you're not super invested in it already.
I think a lot of people, if they haven't seen it yet,
Mm-hmm.
going into it, it's so hyped by pop culture in general.
Right.
Um,
I could see how you wouldn't get a great feeling from just watching A New Hope.
yeah.
So my advice is you give them the original trilogy. If they're feeling it after A New Hope, they just go straight through that, then prequels, then sequels, and throw in Rogue One and Solo pretty much wherever they want. But if they're not feeling it after watching A New Hope, it's a little too boring for them, throw on Rogue One directly after that.
No,
Yeah.
man. You gotta play. What is that? Return of the Jedi? I'm gonna
Empire Strikes
Empire
Back
Strikes
would be
Back.
next.
I'm sorry, I always
But-
get those mixed. That's like the best sequel to any movie ever.
It is, but you got to get them interested in the world, and Rogue One does a better job of that, I think, than Empire Strikes Back. Because Empire Strikes Back, you got to go off your knowledge of the first one, and if you weren't feeling the first one, you're like, okay, I wasn't paying attention. Who's this guy? Who's this guy? So I think going into Rogue One, if somebody didn't like A New Hope, it'll kind of rejuvenate them, and they'll want to watch that. Like they'll
I
be
can
like,
see
all right,
that.
Star Wars is cool. You see Darth Vader, the final scene with Darth
so
Vader
cool.
is badass.
So cool.
The
man.
whole battle on, I don't even remember what the planet's called, but that whole battle in the final act, like that, all of that is just great filmmaking and beautifully shot. And it's just like, okay, now I want to learn more about what happens in this world.
Yeah, and Rogue One was a great movie. I loved it. A lot of people kind of
Yeah.
dogged it, but I thought it was
They're
fantastic.
wrong.
Well, they're like, well, you know what's going to happen going into it. It's like, so what? I mean, you knew the good guys were going to win in the original
Yeah,
Star
like,
Wars at the very beginning.
You know, a lot of things are going to happen in movies. Like, yeah. It was a question asked on Reddit a couple weeks ago, and it was basically the same thing of like, they didn't like the original trilogy. They just started watching it. They got the pop culture references, everything like that already. They didn't like the original trilogy. They didn't know if they should continue going into the prequel trilogy or the sequels or anything like that. I said, look, stop what you're doing. Watch Rogue One, because it's a different kind of movie. It's a
Yeah.
war movie
Mhm.
based in the Star Wars world. I said, watch that, then watch the sequels, then go back to the prequels if you like it. Because if you already don't like the original trilogy, you're not going to like the prequels.
No, nope.
Unless, and that's my other point. If you're trying to introduce kids to it,
Prequels start.
you start with the prequels
Mhm.
because episode 1 is very, very geared towards kids.
Yep.
Jar Jar, kids think Jar Jar Binks is funny, and the Gungans in general. There's a
Mm.
lot of exciting lightsaber battles
Yeah.
in it. You
Droid
got Darth Maul,
fights.
who's a great villain. The droids are good. The droids are kind of funny. The only problem with starting at episode 1 is then you have to go to episode 2 next, and it's like episode 2 is super boring.
Such a drag.
By far the worst movie. I think like if you go the Phantom Menace instead of A New Hope, I think kids will grab onto the Phantom Menace easier than they'll grab onto A New Hope, because A New Hope does have these kind of long stretches, kind of that can be boring to a kid.
Yeah, the first probably I want to say quarter to a third of that movie to a kid is probably really boring. Like I didn't really start liking Star Wars, so I was 10 or 11ish.
Yeah.
Like my dad he grew up in that time. He remembers seeing it in theaters and just talked it up like crazy. I just didn't really. It was boring at first, but
So yeah, on my my 3-year cycle that I'm on, I started with my daughter. 2015 was the first time I started the 3-year cycle. Basically, watched the original trilogy. In 2015, right before The Force Awakens opened up, my daughter was 1 at the time. She watched it with me, but like she's a 1-year-old. So she couldn't care less. And then, so now last year was 3 years later, 2018. She's 4. My other daughter is 2. And I tried to do, my wife went on a work trip or something. So I tried to do all 3 of the trilogy in one weekend with my kids, and they had a very hard time paying attention.
I'm sure.
And like, I'm trying to watch it, but they want to play and do this. And I'm like, but my 4-year-old, she grabbed on to some of the things. Like she really likes Luke Skywalker and Leia right now. And she's like into the idea of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
She just couldn't really care less about what's going on in the movie.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of kids that age.
Like we all have our light. We went to Disney World in December. We all got our lightsabers made there. Like they love going around fighting with lightsabers. My daughter's got she's got 2 Leia action figures and 1 Luke Skywalker action figure. So like she's into the toys and all that surrounding it. She just like hasn't quite grasped the movies. I tried to watch Phantom Menace with them the other night, and I just thought like maybe this will grab them with Jar Jar and the lightsabers and pod racing and all that. And still it was just like there's these long parts in between the funny or the exciting things happening that you can't latch them on.
Mm-mm.
They're not singing a song every 5 minutes like Disney movies do.
Such good movies for little kids, though.
The Disney movies or it's Star Wars?
Disney movies.
Yes. And that's like Disney movies are good because they grab the kids' attention. The Star Wars movies aren't trying to grab kids' attention every 5 seconds.
Definitely not.
All right, so that was my Star Wars rant.
That was a very good one, actually. I really.
If you want more on Star Wars and why the prequels are actually good, check my Twitter feed.
I will be checking it out because I still think this argument is not in here.
I'm sure we'll actually have this argument at some point.
Oh, bring it, son. All right, so here is my question, and this is something I asked probably more than I should, just because I'm very curious about it. So,
It's an interesting question.
if you knew of someone who could only watch one gangster or heist movie for the rest of their lives on repeat, what would you recommend?
So I did away with gangster movies. They're too boring for the most part. There's some that are very good, but there are big, boring stretches in almost every gangster movie where it's like, okay, this is the only movie I'm allowed to watch. Like, I don't want to be bored at any moment for it.
Here's the thing is, though, is how many of those heist movies kind of flow into a gangster movie?
That's true, too. Yeah. But I went with, I picked Ocean's 11 with George Clooney and Brad Pitt.
I figured you were going to pick that, actually.
I would really suggest that they could watch the whole trilogy. Give them a little variety there, but like if you're just sticking with one, it's Ocean's 11. My second choice would probably be Inside Man with Denzel Washington and Clive Owen.
Such a good movie. And that's kind of
that's got such a good twist that like at the end where he's in there the whole time. I love that. So just like the build up to that twist is fantastic.
Yeah, it's kind of underrated too. I don't think it really got much credit. Like, you don't hear about it very often.
No, nobody ever talks about it. But as far as entertainment, the best one out there is Ocean's 11. You got Clooney and Pitt and Matt Damon firing all cylinders. You got great side characters. The heist is actually very good. When they explain it at the end, you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. It's got some little nitpicky things that you can pick apart in, and if that's your thing, like, it's got everything there.
It's more lighthearted, that's for sure.
Yes.
Like, it's lighthearted. It's pretty well directed, and the cast is fantastic. So it's one of those. It's very likable. Very, very likable. I have to.
What do you
rewatch
think?
it. See, I was
You didn't ask a question just so you could give your answer like I did?
No, I'm gonna hit you with some knowledge here, bud. So mine is Goodfellas.
Okay.
I fucking love that movie. And y'all, if you have not seen Goodfellas, please watch it and then hit me at Twitter at alone_podcast and let me know what you think of it. That's
fine.
You know, De Niro, Pesci, and Liotta at their finest. That's a gangster and a heist movie. And I mean, I remember seeing that as a kid. Like, my dad loved that movie. I grew up, and an only child with my dad, so we hung out a lot. And he put on Goodfellas, and I remember seeing the opening scene where Joe Pesci just stabs the shit out of that guy, and then goes into. Ever since
it's good for every kid to watch.
Oh, well, yeah, as a single, father, he didn't really know what not to do. So I got away with a lot of cool stuff. Like, I was experienced when it came to.
For me, like, movies, as long as you and we talked about this when we did Notorious B.I.G., it's the same with music and movies. Like, if you frame them correctly, like, look, this is just entertainment. It's not that big of a deal.
Exactly.
If the kid is interested in it. Like, I can't even get my kids interested in Star Wars. There's no way they're going to be interested in
Goodfellas.
The Departed.
Oh, The Departed is such a great movie, too. That was what I was going to say. I guarantee if I showed, like, any sign of violence, like repeating the acts I saw in these movies, my dad would have, whipped my ass up and down, and that would have ended at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't. I just thought it was a good movie. Like, I really thought the characters were cool. I'm a big De Niro fan, and he's in like every gangster heist movie anyway, so and you said another good one, The Departed. I watch both those at least once a year. I can do without Heat. That one's
I haven't seen Heat yet. It's on my list.
It's all right. It's pretty good.
That it was a little before my time, so I haven't like come back to it yet. But it's out there. It's one of those. Heat and Casino are both like long movies that I'm just like I don't want to spend 3 hours watching a movie today.
That's kind of a boring movie in my mind. It just didn't grab me either of those. Like
Goodfellas Goodfellas is good. I'll give you that. It has very iconic moments.
Yeah.
But then there's stuff in between them that is just like day-to-day stuff, and it's like, okay, fine. I just get to the next iconic moment. I'm ready for it.
I totally understand.
Whereas
that.
like the Departed, like I feel like it's grabbing me the whole time.
It's a
like
totally
everything leads
movie.
to something. Yeah, everything leads into something else. They've got kind of 4 different stories going on between the cops, Leo, Matt Damon, and Jack Nicholson. Like there's a bunch of different stuff going on that keeps you kind of invested in the in-between times.
Yeah, and I mean, dude, you couldn't have come up with a better cast for that movie. Martin Sheen, Alec Baldwin, you got guys who aren't like...
Donnie Wahlberg.
Donnie Wahlberg.
No, Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, I was going to say Mark Wahlberg. Donnie Wahlberg was in Band of Brothers.
Wahlberg's in... Yeah, and in like some of the Saw movies, he played a cop, and I get him confused sometimes.
Yeah, hard to, but I feel you on that. It's just... The Departed, they're totally different movies. I feel like Goodfellas is kind of a glorification of gangsters and that lifestyle, or what it used to represent, whereas The Departed is like realistic. I mean, it's based roughly around a true story. When I say roughly, like super roughly.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was, isn't Jack Nicholson's character supposed to be like Whitey Bulger?
Yeah, he's supposed to parallel him in some ways, but not.
They stretched it pretty hard, but
yeah.
And you throw in a couple stunning performances like DiCaprio in that movie is fantastic, and so is Matt Damon. It's a ball ass movie.
The love interest is really good. Mm-hmm. Vera Familia or something
from Parmigiana.
Yeah, it's got a silent G in there somewhere. It's strange. She's good. I like her.
Yeah, I mean she's pretty cute too. So there's that. She's
that
something to look at. And I tell you what though, I couldn't rewatch that movie. It lost to Goodfellas because of the twist at the end. And spoilers if you haven't seen it, it's so good. When you know it's coming, it's just like it doesn't hit you as hard as when you don't know it's coming. Like holy shit.
My wife says that about it. Like because that happens, because everyone. All right, spoilers. Everyone dies. Because everyone dies, she's just like, it's not a good movie. Everyone dies in the movie. How is that a good movie? I'm like, well, that doesn't negate the first 2 hours of the movie. And Mark Wahlberg doesn't die.
Yeah, exactly. He wins. And Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch came out here and won.
I
Like,
think
you
I'd
can't
rather
stop
live in a
him.
world where any of the other characters won besides Mark Wahlberg, though. Not a huge Wahlberg fan.
He's pretty much not been very good in anything he's ever done. I did like him in that, though.
Yeah.
He fits that shitty Boston cop pretty perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't put the asses in the seats for me.
Yeah. Me either. He's not a frontline cat, that's for
He
sure.
is. Like, people go to see him. Just, I couldn't care less that he's in a movie.
People with bad
Yeah.
taste.
Michael Bay likes him.
Yeah, no, I was just
And,
about to say. So
and
does
Peter
M. Night
Berg.
Shyamalan.
Peter Berg loves him. I think that's all we got for life advice today. I hope you learned something.
I hope you guys got some knowledge to retain and work with.
If not, we might do a life advice part 2 sometime in the future, and we'll get to your questions then.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm game. I still got quite a few questions I could tap.
Yeah, we had more that we didn't get to. We just didn't want this one to take too long. I don't think it lends itself to taking too long.
Agreed.
You guys can only hear us give bad advice for so long, so we're gonna cut it. If you want to follow us on Twitter at APA something. You can always send us emails at a podcast about something at gmail.com. You can follow Nick at the aforementioned alone_podcast. And check out You Are All Alone. Great story over there. Really getting into the thick of things now.
I appreciate it, man. It's
Feel some serious stuff coming down the pike.
It's been pretty fun. If you haven't gotten caught up, it's the last couple episodes have been a trip, and this next one is only going to get a little trippier.
Can't wait.
I'm super excited to get it out there. I'm a big believer of retaining the schedule as much as I can.
You're good at that.
Yeah.
All,
I try.
all our music is provided by Those Cats. And if you're on iTunes, be sure to leave us a rating and review. You can also check out our Patreon, where we've got a couple Patreon exclusives. Actually, let's talk about what we're going to do on Patreon, because we've had some ideas recently that we're going to do some different exclusive stuff for Patreon. We have a couple things on there now, but in the future, pretty soon, we're going to be doing a series that we're going to call Random Reviews.
Yes.
Where we will...
That'll be a fun one.
Yeah. We will pick a movie. So I compiled a list of basically every movie released since 1975. And we split them up into the month they released. And we're going to be picking one at random in the month. So March will be our first one. So we picked a random movie that was released in March sometime between 1975 and 2015 that has a IMDb rating of over 4.0. I think was the lower limit, because we want some bad movies in there, but we don't want them too bad.
Not too bad. Yeah.
We don't want any 1 ratings. And nothing over like 2.5 hours, because I don't want to commit that much time to a potentially bad movie.
Yeah, definitely not.
There's some classic like Lord of the Rings I left on the list because I wouldn't mind, diving into that. But for the most part, I cut long stuff off. So our first movie that we're going to do on Random Reviews is Hellraiser 4 Bloodlines. So that will be
Can't
coming
believe this
soon.
got above 4.
It's going to be good. So I kept trying to go down and down because I could see Batman and Robin on my list. And I never...
Oh.
Batman and Robin is 3.7 on IMDb. I'm like, I can't go that low. There's going to be too much other bad stuff.
Yeah.
So yes.
But that'll be super fun,
That's
man. I
going to
can't
be
wait
fun.
to do that.
We'll do that sometime in March. We haven't figured out when. And then the other thing that we're going to be doing, we're going to call it Pilot Projections. And why don't you tell us about that?
Well, with pilot projections, we're basically going to review some pilots of TV shows. Maybe you haven't seen them. Maybe, you have and you're curious about them, but you don't got the time to devote to it. We're going to take a peek at the pilot and give you our 2 cents and see what you think.
Yeah, we're going to be doing old shows that we've seen before, new shows that just come out, basically anything we feel like doing whenever we feel like doing it.
Absolutely.
That one might not be as regimented. Like, we're going to do at least one of the random reviews once a month, and then pilot projections will come in as we feel it.
Absolutely.
We might do 3 a month, we might do 1 a month, we might do none a month. We don't know. And then the big, huge thing starting April 2019, weekly review of Game of Thrones. You want to do that music again? Love that music.
I know, I'm brilliant.
It's the only good thing about the show anymore. But we'll be doing
Lies.
weekly review of the episode and looking forward to the next week's episode. So we'll be doing that weekly for Game of Thrones, and then we'll probably do a full-length episode after the season's over.
I imagine that one will probably be closer to 2 hours long. So that'll be a super fun exclusive, and I know you guys are dying to dive into it as much as we are. And Calvin, if you want to hit him with the title, I think it's pretty awesome.
I don't know which title we went with. You pick right now. Which title did we? Because we had two. You pick it. Go.
We got Warg Into Me or Warg It To Me. So if you say it quick, Warg It To Me. Kind of like Ninja Turtles. Didn't sound that great when I said it, but let us know what you guys think.
All right. That's what we'll be doing in April. So stay tuned for all of that on our Patreon page, patreon.com/podcastaboutSomething. Thanks for listening.
And we appreciate it so much, guys. Stay sassy.
Stay classy.